Hello. So I have recently hit Ascendant 4, which means that I think, good enough to take a crack at very basic itemization stuff in Deadlock. This is not going to be an advanced guide to itemization, because an advanced guide to itemization is getting coaching. Like, an advanced guide to itemization is itemization, and then you just look at a game specifically. I'm not coaching you. So this is all heuristics and stuff, but it's things that I have found helpful to be thinking about in itemization. And the first concept I want to go over is the idea of a capstone. And I have a very high-tech solution here, which is that I've printed out... I printed out something from the Linux calculator, or the GNOME calculator, much simply. So this presupposes some things. First off, that there is a fight in around 30 minutes. This is going to happen in a lot of games. That is going to determine the course of the game. That whether it be an earn fight or a mid fight is both relatively even, or at the very least contestable, and is also going to put one team so far ahead that they are going to walk with the match. So assuming a soul rate of 1,000 per minute, so obviously 30,000, so 30 minutes, 1,000, you're going to end up with 30,000 souls, minus your 3 4.8Ks is going to count to 15,600. Now, the shape, technically speaking, you can do anything with this you want. But the sort of shape that I found most helpful is buying two 3200s and a 6400. And this leaves you 2,800 left over. You can buy 600 with this money, but this gets you your 4.8Ks, some useful counter building, which is additional damage slots, and your capstone item. So a capstone item is sometimes you can abstain from this. I wouldn't recommend it. Just in my experience, this is usually your counter building slot, your slots, I should say. So if I'm talking about graves, for instance, I'm buying I'm getting, what is it? It would be something like active reload, Tesla, maybe Enchanter's Fortitude, and then basic compress cooldown, basic extend duration, and arcane surge is a build I run a lot. And then this is where I'm getting maybe a toxic and a counter spell, or a disarming hex. Now you could offload the responsibility onto your 4.8Ks, which will sort of sacrifice early game power because you're getting because Fortitude is or mid game power I should say, because Fortitude is so huge for being able to roam, and then you're getting counterspell in that slot, and so now you're going to be less able to roam but maybe more able to fight, and also you can now with this exit out and then get a 6400, right? And get double 6400s. But for most characters, in most games, in most situations, I think it's best to build like this. And what that's going to mean is you're going to have 1 to 6400 in your entire build. And you have to think long and hard about what that is, because ideally that's game winning. Ideally it is a 6400 that is so good it can win the game on spot. And examples of this are Unstop is a huge one, whether you have a channel ultimate or not. I think a lot of people conceptualize Unstop as the thing that Dynamo buys. But if you're a bruiser or anything, I think Silver, it's pretty popular to buy on Silver, who really obviously doesn't have channel. But any bruiser, honestly a lot of ADCs, ask any Dota player whether BKB is good to buy on a character with a non-channel ultimate, is all I'll say. It's really strong no matter what. Just having this you can't kill me period is just insane. Just having God mode button. Some characters are refresher characters or echo shard characters. It's good for them. If you're a support or have some big circle you put on the ground, I'm thinking Ivy, although Ivy is also support. But V-Web is really strong. You get Vortex Web. This can be Alkfire expansion. This can be Vortex Web, and that's just a very clean way to just be hey, I'm good. We're good now. these capstone items are very important, and I think it's really good to be clear. Like you can swap this out for a 35, like a 40, but it's important to just be thinking about like if a mid is coming up, if you're about to fight mid, like I should be buying some big important item, and your big important item should be big and important. I'm not going to give you like a comprehensive list because it's character to character, right? But like again, unstop, again refresher, ricochet on some characters can be that big. If it's really matchup dependent, but like capacitor, even if you're like going into like an Apollo or like a Celeste maybe, you can buy it. Curse, obviously, if you're like a more support aligned character. Lucky Shot, also a huge spike in damage. A lot of these items, like think about it on your character, but like try to implement this idea of like I have one big 6400 that I need to be buying before like the most important fight of the game. Is sort of my basic idea there. The second idea, and I don't want to alt tab. If I were a good YouTuber, I'd have like some nice visual here, but I'm just gonna talk about. Oh my god! They changed how it works. Over investment. So this is something any character can do it, any class can do it, or like any type of character can do it. But over, like I see it most on like the Viper champion, sometimes the Infernus champion, sometimes the Rage champion. What happens? It was Sinclair as well. What happens is these people go, I am damage character, I buy damage, and so what they end up with is a build where they're like, 90% gun items and like two. I was playing against a Sinclair the other day who had like one Enchanter's emblem and like some 8 like resto shot, I think, and then it was just purple. And I'm gonna be honest with you, you can't build like that. Like your 4.8Ks, you notice like I didn't contest the idea that you could ever not get your 4.8Ks. You can on some character, like Viper can by skipping on her spirit, but never your green. In this game, never your green. No character skips on their green. Rem doesn't even spend most of the fight in shootable. you're invulnerable for most of the fight, and I would still be like I would still call a Rem player who wasn't buying their green investment throwing, because like it's just so important. But even with that being said, I actually will. Hold on, I'm gonna alt tab. You're not gonna be able to see this part, but I will really quickly return with the investment numbers here, just because like I think a lot of people don't understand this concept, and I don't know how. Okay, not that. Keep aspect ratio. So like, don't do that. Is it actually gonna be that low res? If you came here, then yes, thank God. So this is the big point, right? For these two at the very least, right? Because you're going from 1734. This is doubled. This is over doubled. This I think is just doubled. Now, notably for Spirit, this has been smoothed out a lot in patches, so this is still pretty worth it, getting to 7200, and like, because hold on a second, because this is 1938. I hate to say it, I need to pull up a calculator for this very basic edition. I'm so sorry to say this. That's double. This is 10. So it's like this is doubled, and this is 10, and this is 9. So like it's like it's worth to go like to here, but especially for Spirit, where because this is a flat number and it's like all flat numbers. Definitely made a video about this. Like your damage on a Spirit character does not come from building Spirit at all. Not on any character. There's not a single Spirit character. I'm dead convinced of this. There's not a single Spirit character that actually needs like Boundless. You just don't need it. You can buy any other item and it'll just do you better. If anything, Boundless is better for like Torment Pulse or like Toxic Bullets. But like look at your numbers with Boundless, and then think about your numbers with on Mina. Think about Refresher. Have you seen how much damage ult does? It gives 1% current max health damage. Or current health damage. It does over 100% current health damage. Very easily. And you just refresh. And you just deal like 200 something percent current health damage with your pats. And it silences. And it gives you a little bit. Like, this, like, especially, like, this is past. Never, don't build more spirit than this. There's no point. It's just, like, assuming, like, you're just buying damage items. Like, if you're going boundless for this, don't do it. It's just not worth it. You're getting 7. You're getting 7 spirit for this. That's not true. You're getting 9 spirit for this. Yeah, I'm so smart. Like, it's just, I can't start, like, this is not worth it. This is not worth it. This is not worth it. This is maybe worth it. 9,600. Like, you just don't need more spirit than this. And if you're buying more spirit than this, make it a refresher. Make it some big thing. What you should do, and this is still very true for gun, to be clear. But, like, it's less true for gun because, like, if you're a gun character, your job is carrying. So, like, you should, at the minimum, be hitting this on anything, right? I just want to specify this. This is mandatory, right? But if you're getting to here, just build more vitality. Because green gives you opportunities, right? Like taking less damage is really good. Taking less damage is very strong. It's a smart thing to be doing. And, like, Unstop is, I think, the best. Yeah, no, it is. It's just the best 6400 in the game. Because, like, you get so much opportunity out of it. It's just like, it's the God mode button. So buy it on every, like, carry. I can't describe the extent to which, like, being unstoppable is a much better word than this is a number. Then this is a number. Then this is a number. Right? Like, just, and you get health too. So you just be tanky. And then also, like, not even like tanky, just like you live. Like, you can go all the way into weapon damage and then die. And it doesn't matter. Your weapon damage doesn't matter because you haven't bought into this opportunity. Even, like, here, you haven't bought into this opportunity. You can go further because it's percentage based. This is percentages, but this is percentages too. Like, this is, spirit shouldn't be going. You can with gun. But you can go all the way with green and orange. Just because they're both percentage based. I wouldn't recommend it past, like, this point maybe. But, like, you can do it. It's okay. And also, because this is 15, and then this goes back to 20. And then this goes back to 20. So it's like, this is sort of, like, this is the point where it's like, like, that's sort of like, but, you know, still. So I just wanted to say this, like, unless you are a very specific character, you should be hitting all your forward engage. So, like, Paige doesn't really want to get gun. Kelvin doesn't really want to get gun. And, like, Viper can skip out on Spirit. But, like, Hayes could maybe skip out on Spirit, but I wouldn't recommend it. Especially post changes. So, like, never skip out. Just never skip on your green. And, like, remember that, like, when you're buying a green 6400 on a carry, you're giving yourself so much, just, like, opportunity and ability to, like, do stuff. Unstop is so good. Cheat death is so good. All these things. Now I can really quickly talk about counter building. I'm gonna really, really quickly talk about counter building. Because remember when I said, I think I said this, that, like, itemization is the most complicated thing in MOBAs. Counter building is the actual most complicated thing in MOBAs. Counter building is evil. Counter building is... Okay, so, like, counter building is when you build something to counter the enemy. Yes, that's true. The thing is that counter building manifests in so many ways. So, like, okay, here's an example. Let's put up a certain character. So, like, what does counter building Vindicta look like? Well, you can buy knockdown for flight, obviously. You can buy counterspell for a stake. You can buy DBR for a stake. You can buy debuff removal for a stake. You can buy counterspell for the ult. You can build stamina mastery to dodge out of the way of her stake. You can build stamina mastery to better dodge the ult. You can build. I think you might be able to metal skin. I don't think that's true. I think I'm lying. I don't think that's the case. You might be able to though. I should test that at some point. But like my point is, and like also like, you know, I say you can buy Phantom Strike also to like get her down. You can buy plate armor to like resist your bullets, but also, it's the other thing with counterbuilding that you have to understand is that when you buy a knockdown for her flight, she now has to buy a dispel or a counterspell for your knockdown. And like, I guess the way I want to word it is that counterbuilding forces buy from your opponent, which is very powerful. Like, that's the really powerful part of counterbuilding. Is that like, if you buy a disarming, let's just like disarming hex for her, then she has to buy a dispel, a DBR for that, right? And it's like, you spend money, especially if you're worse, especially if you're doing bad, you can just be a CC bot. Like, if you're not doing well, or if you're, like, obviously if you're a sport, this is your job. But, like, now you can, like, you're buying Disarming for her, or, like, a Mirage or Infernus, and now they have to buy DBR for you. You buy Slowing Tags for Infernus, they have to buy DBR for you, right? And it's like, you can wait, especially, like, so if it's Disarming Hex, and there's an Infernus on the team, as well as a Vindicta or Mirage, you're now spending 3,200 of souls to make your opponents spend 6,400 of souls, because they had to buy 2 debuff removers. Because the threat is on either of them, right? If you buy a Slowing Hex, and there's an Apollo, and an Infernus, they definitely have to buy DBR. And it's these things of like, counterbuilding is very strong. You shouldn't do too much of it. And too much, that's really like an I would have to be coaching you thing. But like, look at counterbuilding and think about like, how can you force your opponents to spend more money than you do? Because if I buy a Slowing Hex for an Apollo Infernus, then I'm spending 1,600 on 6,400 in their souls, because they both have to buy Dispel Magic now, or DBR. So that's like a huge, the outsizing of that trade is insane. The value of that is insane. So buy, if you want to, like, put counterbuilding here. Even if it's like, let's say you're just putting, of your 1,600 spirit, you just buy, like, Slowing Hex for an Apollo, for a Yamato, for, I don't know, maybe a Celeste, right? Because it's dash slow as well. Like, just, like, think about where you can, in little ways, counterbuild. Like, your 1,600 green, your 1,600 purple, less so your 1,600 orange, or your orange obviously. But like, just think about these little ways you can counterbuild, and just like force buy out of your opponents, or obviously massively benefit from their not buying. That's just like my little thing I want to do. It's just like, counterbuilding is really good, especially in this game, and like especially the type of counterbuilding that forces your opponent to acknowledge and respond. That's all I wanted to say. Bye-bye.